if you don't know me, I've been working with typologies since I was a senior in high school, which was a long time ago. And I have really had an incredible experience of certifying with the early authors, and then also spending an intensive with Claudio Naranjo and with Oscar Ichazo. And then another really amazing thing is that Naranjo validated my research on the instinctual types and subtypes. He was happy and delighted because he hadn't been given credit for that work. But my research led to him. All roads led back to Claudio Naranjo. And then I spent a year on the island of Maui, which is where Ichazo was headquartered, and the Eureka School, and became good friends with Mark Sheehan. And I just recently posted an interview with Mark. And he died in September. So it was really great that I got his experience with Eureka, and as someone who then taught the Eureka process, Ichazo's work, the 40-day training, and other courses. And it was that year where I really learned even more about Ichazo's work. One of the most fascinating things I learned while I was doing my research with the Enneagram types and focused on the internal experience of type, I had a questionnaire, the Enneastyle questionnaire. It's in my testing instrument. It's the first thing you fill out. People filled that out, sent it in. I sorted it by type, by wing, people that didn't match their type and the type they did match, which was fascinating. But then I sent a question for people to send me the words, pictures, and phrases they identified with. They could get them from a magazine, they could just type them up themselves, but I wanted to know what they identified with. I thought that'd be kind of interesting because my background was in working with the internal and external experience of people. But when I received the same pictures from like 7 different types that were all threes from different places in the world, Australia, Germany, and then 5 places in the US, I was hooked. Type 2 was the hardest for me to see the common theme. And then when I worked with the 2s, they said, of course, because we alter to match the person we're with. So that's why the collage has pictures that don't have the same continuity. But what is the focus is that way in which they alter to match the person in front of them. So in one ad campaign, there were children that were being photographed for children's clothing. And I was astounded that with the instincts, now it showed up on type 2, but in particular with the 3 instincts, someone sent in a picture of a little child in a cute outfit with a little cone on its head that was standing alone, that was self-pres. Then a social person looked at the same advertising and chose the picture with 3 children, kind of sort of relating. Now, these were toddlers too, by the way. And then someone with the intimate sexual instinctual type chose a picture where there were 2 little girls that were closely interacting. It fascinated me because it proved that this can be observed. It's observable. And we have a profound sense of what we identify with, which is part of the mistyping problem. But when they turned out to be those 3 different instinctual types, was absolutely something I felt I needed to pursue at a deeper level. And I have ever since. I've never stopped researching. Many people contact me because they don't know how to find their Enneagram type. And the reason for this is that the Enneagram is based on defense strategies and motivations. So not what we do, not the behaviors, but why we do it. So what happens if someone mistypes, and there's a very high percentage of mistyping, more than people recognize, and they kind of find when they want to do the deeper work that they just don't get those profound insights. So I discovered long ago that people mistyped. And I know that when I could identify their correct type, in fact, the 3 types in their tritype and the specificity that emerge, I could help them work with old problems in a new way, because it enabled them to recognize the areas where they had blind spots. And tritype recognizes blind spots. So when you're typing yourself, it's a natural instinct to look at behaviors. But if you work with a trained professional that's familiar with the different aspects of the defense strategies and can bear witness to someone and help them recognize that they may identify with a type emotionally, but they may be using the defense strategy of another type. Tritype is a 27-point personality system based on the theory that we have the core fears and defense mechanisms and coping mechanisms of 3 types, not just one. This emerged as a result of many studies on the internal experience of the Enneagram types. But what is key is you have a type in your head center 5, 6, and 7, a type from your heart center 2, 3, and 4, and a type from your gut center 8, 9, and 1. So how we think, feel, and act will be based on those 3 types. And together, when they merge, the types share particular things in common, and that shapes the tritype, which is why it's so important. Some things are dominant, some things are minimized, but it's in a hierarchical stacking order. So at the top of the stack is our lead or core type.